started, and we'd like to start by opening the floor to each candidate to introduce themselves. Candidates, you have 3 minutes to give your opening remarks, your commencement remarks on your national security plan. You have 3 minutes to do this. Please note that the timekeeper will alert you when you have 30 seconds to go. Mr. Omoyele Sowore, let's start with you, sir.
Thank you and good evening for inviting me here tonight. I must state that last week should have been the day we should all be here. But for some reasons, you decided to invite the elites within the presidential race. And we think you owe us an apology for that, because Nigeria should stop bringing people who have no ideas to talk to Nigerians when those who have ideas are relegated to the background. That is where we have gotten it wrong all these years. My name is Omoyele Sowore, and I'm here as an activist for over 32 years, 3 decades, fighting for the rights of Nigerians, my own rights, and a desire to make this country work for everybody. The things that I fought for when I was in my 20s at the University of Lagos as a freshman that were not addressed are the reason why Nigeria has refused to move and make progress to today, especially in the area of security and insecurity, as we are here to discuss tonight, and the economy. I was one of the young students who said in 1989 and 1990 that the economic policy that Nigeria had adopted, which is known as the Structural Adjustment Program, was going to destroy Nigeria. It was at that period that the IMF and the World Bank said we can no longer fund housing, we can't fund education, we can't fund anything that will bring the welfare of our people at par with the rest of the world. It was at that period that they destroyed the industrial base of this country so that they can prepare Nigeria as a dumping ground for Western companies. It was at that time that the insecurity that we are experiencing today started. Nobody should deceive us that our insecurity has one reason. The special factors where Nigeria is insecure today is because Nigeria refused to invest in its youth, in its people, when it mattered the most. As a matter of fact, when they had a chance to do it, they wasted the opportunity by staging what is known as FESTAC, Festival of Arts and Culture, where Nigeria decided that it had too much money. They don't know what to do with it. So they invited the whole world to a feast in Lagos, known as FESTAC. Subsequently, after that, we kept failing our people. And as of today, Nigeria is reaping from what it refused to do. As of today, Nigeria is not only insecure, it has become one of the most insecure countries in the world, in which even its security officers are no longer secure. Last week, the wife of one of Nigeria's top officials in the security sector was abducted. Our president was threatened by bandits and terrorists. And I don't know if he's back in the country, but he left the country at the time the country needed him the most to take care of himself. It is time to take care of Nigeria security by ensuring that we put social security at the back of all policies for the citizens of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Please, once again, we appreciate you. We know you have support for the candidates on the stage, but the rules are the rules. No clapping, please. Thank you. Well, like Engineer Yabaga Sani of the African Action Democratic Party, to please step forward and give us a summary, of his journey thus far by introducing himself.
I can step up.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Your Excellencies, the organizers of this very important engagement, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani. I was born in Bida. I schooled in Bida and Kontagora, all in Niger State. I attended Kontagora Secondary Technical School. In 1974, I got admission into Institute of Technology in New York. After 2 years in Institute of Technology in New York, I transferred to Columbia University, also in New York. While I was in Columbia University, I studied industrial and management engineering and operations research. Take note of that because it's very important, it's relevant to why I'm here today. My education prepared me very well to engage effectively with social problems, economic problems, and if you like, political problems. As an industrial engineering that's also studied operations research. When I came back to Nigeria, I got employed, but I got employment with NNPC. That is after my NYC, and I spent about 3 years in NNPC, and I resigned my appointment. I resigned my appointment because I did not like the kind of disorganization I saw in that organization that I believe was a promise of greatness for this country. When I resigned my appointment with NNPC, I founded a company called Fuel Vouchers Nigeria Limited, which was to introduce the cashless transaction beginning from the oil transaction in Nigeria. And like I said, when I was in NNPC, I noticed two things. One was the fact that the structural organization NNPC was not meant to serve Nigerians. And I discovered that I had something that I could do, but I couldn't do it within. So when I left NNPC and I founded Fuel Vouchers Nigeria Limited, I also was able to establish another company that was to introduce the issue of transparency and accountability, which is what we are battling with today. So insecurity, we can't get insecurity in Nigeria if the company that earns the largest income for this country is so arbitrarily managed. So all our problems can be traced to the economic arrangement in this country. It can be traced to the kind of leadership we have had all along. It can be traced to the fact that in the security outfit, we do not have what is called the standard and the policy of application of our security organization and the method of fighting insecurity.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Engineer Sani. Let's please move on to Professor Peter Omoyedi. We would like to hear from you, sir, with regards to your national security plan for Nigeria. Please be reminded that you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I thank Arise for bringing me here tonight. My name is Peter Omoyedi. I'm the presidential candidate for All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA. Now, APGA puts it this way, that we are starting afresh. And APGA says that everything we're going to do will rest squarely on social progress. What we mean is that every Nigerian should have the opportunity of getting to the maximum of his or her potential. And then you talk about our country and you talk about insecurity. I've said many times, you don't treat issues of security with kid gloves. What keeps a country going, every other society, are sanctions. When you don't enforce sanctions, you don't expect security, and you don't expect progress. It's been said, my uncle of blessed memory, I like speaking about him, and he's my friend. We talk, and he told me about this story, about a man who said on his first day in office, in power, on a crime-ridden, corrupt security situation, he would invite the head of police into his office and ask him to put his badge on the table and walk out because his job is determined. And he will go down the line to see a worthy police officer and hand over the badge. Because if you fix the police, you fix security especially in Nigeria, and that's what we need to do. And I tell you this, you can't fix the police when the police are out there collecting bribes on a daily basis. You can't fix the police when there's police checkpoints and army checkpoints, and they have civilians attached to them, especially in the southeast, collecting money on their behalf in broad daylight. There's no way you're going to be in the metal to do your work as a security officer. Let's go back to Spartan. You say a Spartan dies but never surrenders. Spartan, with their exploits in military times, rested on discipline. If you are not disciplined, you can't enforce security. And that is why the things that are happening, and all the old farmers are chased out by bandits who used to hold canes to, head their cows, suddenly got to AK-47, and nobody is taking responsibility for that. And you're talking about security.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. We'd like to call on next Priest Adewale Adebayo of the Social Democratic Party, the SDP. You have the floor.
What topic?
Yes. An overview, your security plan, economic plan, and little introduction.
Thank you. I'm Adewale Adebayo. I'm 50 years old. I'm a lawyer, licensed in Nigeria, in the US. I'm practicing in many countries. I'm a chartered arbitrator. And I am the presidential candidate of the SDP. And by the way, I align myself with the sentiment expressed by Mr. Showore of the AAC regarding the role of the media. I believe that the media, the way the media helped the fight for independence, and the media helped to get rid of the military, the media still has a role to play in helping us to midwife our democracy, and the media should be seen as a catalyst that is allowing ideas to flow. With respect to the security situation in Nigeria, there are two components to it. Security, generally discussed, deals with public safety and general feeling of lack of fear or instability. With respect to public safety, we've made three mistakes which we need to correct. One, we have the wrong architecture for crime prevention. We need to ensure that any organ of government that has a power to legislate should have a power to enforce. Therefore, if you see, many of the crimes that we cry about are actually state crimes. Murder, kidnapping, banditry. But those states don't have the power to enforce their own law. So we need to deal with that. I'm going to get that right. Secondly, if you look at the journey of our journey into insecurity, the first major one was during the Civil War. We had so many innocent people exposed to warfare. And the army was not careful enough in mopping up the arms. And what happened was that we had armed robbery. And the way military would do their thing, they passed the armed robbery tribunal, firearm tribunal. At the end of the day, we didn't get rid of that. Then, as we're going towards the end of military rule, the military did three things. The entire military combined together to weaken the police, because the military didn't want the police to be able to stop them from taking power all the time. So they weakened the police. Shagari tried to address it with Adewusi, with Second Republic, but he didn't have enough time. Second thing that happened was that the army weakened the Air Force after the scary coups that they were having among themselves. So the army was working to weaken the Air Force. So we don't have the air cover. The third thing that happened was that when we came to civilian rule, the civilians who came also became a little jittery and entirely weakened the entire military without investing in the military. So what I'm going to do is to reinvent the architecture, ensure that at local level and state level we have law enforcement. Then the Air Force is able to give air cover and ensure that intelligence, which is warehoused in the office of the NSA, is depoliticized, and that we can combine all of this together. You have a strong architecture, and you will see that it will improve.
Okay, thank you so much. So we will start with the questions now, deeply on security. And this will cut across all the candidates. It's a question about what you will do if you are president. Only last Tuesday, INEC said 242 polling units with 142,261 registered voters in 10 local government areas of Katsina State are under serious attacks, serious threats for the elections. This could have implications on the elections and disrupting our democratic process. If you were Omoyele Sowore, Nigeria's next president, how do you intend to address the widespread insecurity in the country?
Job of the president of a nation is for the president to be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. That we don't have in this country as of today. What you have is a rogue system of security in which everybody is doing what they like. And other elements within government use whichever security agencies they have to carry out their own nefarious activities, sabotaging the Nigerian people. That's one statement of fact we must tell ourselves. The second aspect of it is that I am not Nigeria's president today. If I had been voted for in 2019, you would not be talking about places being taken over, because I have divided the security problems in Nigeria into three. One is the usual enforcement, physical security. The second aspect of it is collection of intelligence, analysis of intelligence, and execution of intelligence. But you can only collect intelligence if you have intelligent people running intelligence organizations. I was detained at DSS for 5 months. They were there watching BB Niger instead of collecting intelligence, analyzing them, and using that to stop terrorists and bandits. I was there when they recruited them to go to Kogi State, and I'm stating facts here, to go and rig election for the current governor of Kogi State. You cannot run a country like that and expect to be safe when your intelligence officers who are supposed to collect intelligence are not doing it. But one thing we must state categorically before I announce what I will do about this is that Nigeria has to resolve the problem of inequality, hunger, poverty, before we can be talking about using guns. It has been known that countries that are doing well economically usually or rarely even use guns because their citizens are happy. When you're not happy and people have been cheated over time, you will not get solution to this problem. But to not talk about what I would have done in Katsina is that we have always known that Katsina was under siege. And don't let us deceive ourselves. Katsina is not the only state that's under siege. Kaduna, southern Kaduna is under siege. Sokoto is under siege. Zamfara is under siege. The Niger Delta region is under siege. Why are we behaving as if it's only in Katsina that elections will not happen? Let us tell ourselves the truth. I'm not sure that we can have about 25% of the land mass of Nigeria hold free and fair elections in 2023 the way we are going. And it doesn't matter how hard we try. We've spoken to INEC about it. INEC itself is not sure. Ogun State last week, the INEC office was burned down with all the voters cards there. They said they're going to recruit new ones. Who knows how they're going to go about it? So we have to be proactive in ensuring that these crimes are caught before they happen, and that we have security agencies that are capable of dealing with security, and most importantly, that you have a head of state that is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and not the one commanding from the back.
Okay. We'll move on to, once again, please, no clapping. Those are the rules. We'll move on to Engineer Yabaka Sani. Same question. If you were president, what would you do as regards the insecurity in the country? Tell local government in Katsina State and other parts of the country with threats here and there. What would you do?
Well, in any government at all, if you don't have rule of law, applied in governance, what you have is arbitrariness, and you have cases of issues like nepotism, corruption, and no matter how effective the government may be, the machinery may be, if you have people having a sense of marginalization, they don't feel that they belong. Take for instance our security outfits today. Unfortunately, it's lopsided in terms of the leadership that you have in the security outfit. And that itself introduces some kind of, people not applying themselves in the manner that they're supposed to. So, as a president, I will govern with rule of law. And that means that nobody will be above the law. And that will mean that the security agencies will work in a manner that they will share information, they will gather intelligence, they will process it in the manner that it's supposed to process, and it will be applied in order to ensure that when there's an incident, you are able to act effectively. What is happening to us in this country is that, one, there's government, but hardly can you see evidence of governance. And if you do not have issues dealt with dispatch, definitely what you find is a anarchy in the country. So I will be very, very effective in dealing with issues of insecurity. I will deal with the issue of poverty, like Shawale has said. Poverty is one thing that diminishes, the citizens. They will not be able to live up to their responsibilities because security is not just for the agencies themselves, security agencies, everybody's supposed to be involved. And if you don't have information provided by the citizens to the security agencies because there's a loss of confidence because of corruption that is in the system itself, then what you find is a deteriorating situation no matter how much you try. So poverty has to be dealt with. The issue of people identifying and feeling that they belong is also an important aspect in governance. So I think once I can deal with these two things, then you will be able to tackle the issue of security in this country.
Thank you so much for your time. Next, we move on to Professor Peter Omerdi of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA. INEC has said 242 polling units with 142,261 registered voters. We also had the case of Abeokuta INEC Center attacks all over the country. As Commander-in-Chief, Professor Omerdi, what would you do?
That is the word, as Commander-in-Chief. I don't know why anyone wants to become president and then begin to delegate powers that he has gotten in a vote that he has won. If I'm president, I'm going to stick myself into the work and I'm going to get those reports directly. And I'm going to find out what is going there on a second-to-second basis. That is very important. That's why I say it's about the layout, it's about the discipline, it's about the structure of security that we have in the country, but most importantly, it's about the leadership. That is why you see all over the world, one leader is in a very important event overseas, and something happens in his home country. He aborts that visit overseas, gets on the next plane, and gets home. Because he has to be in direct contact with what is happening in his home country. And that is the only way to get these things done. Because there are a lot of buck passing, if you understand what I'm saying. People always shift blames in our country. People always find who didn't do what right. But is that what I'm going to listen to as the Commander-in-Chief? No, I want results. And I give you a time to get it done. And I'm there waiting for you to bring back your report to me. And everybody will have to prove his pay at the end of the day. So, you see, because I said it before on a television interview on Arise, that I do not know why a policeman will run away from an armed robber. The anchor said to me, because the armed robbers are a better armed than the police. And I pushed back. Why should the armed robber be better armed than the police? That is the issue. You don't do such a thing. So you have to get your act together and make sure that, in other words, there is one state. If the state does not prevail, it has gone under. Nothing should stop elections or whatever activity from going on in any part of the country because somebody has seized that place and has, been shooting guns and burning places, and then you won't take the activity you have. In fact, overseas, I've seen them cordon the White House at the end. It wasn't accessible to tourists as it used to be, but you could see the extent of it. Here, the police formations across the country have been blocked entirely. In Oka, you have to go through the village to get where you're going, because that is extent of fear that even the security officers have.
Thank you so much, Professor Peter Omeidi, for your time. We move on to Prince Adewale Adebayo of the Social Democratic Party. With all the myriad, the challenges we've got in Nigeria as regards insecurity, it's staring at us in the face like INEC disclosed that elections, holding elections might be difficult under this security climate. 242 polling units in Katsina and other parts of the country. As Commander-in-Chief, this was brought to your notice. What would you do?
First, as Commander-in-Chief, I am the one to bring it to the notice of INEC, not INEC bringing it to my notice. I'm in charge of security, for God's sake. The first thing we need to know is that the political elite, they are very good with scaremongering. They like to frighten you anytime election is coming. They are burning somewhere, turning somewhere. That's just arson. A state has a commissioner of police, director of state security, fire service, commandant general, whatever. That's a local issue for them, because if you are having arson of that magnitude, intelligence will catch up with you. Even those days, the Native Authority Police will handle that immediately. Insurance company used to have people who go after arsonists, even insurance company. So what is happening here is this. You can have elections and somebody is put there and it doesn't end up forming a government. Remember that recently we had 6 months in which after swearing in, there was no cabinet. What is happening is that even when the cabinet is set up, it's just a nominal cabinet because they don't do the function. What we need to understand is that the insecurity in this country starts from the villa. Everything you see outside, if you put a proper commander-in-chief in place, and they're not using security as a way to compensate people, they are managing the security architecture well. What we call big crimes in Nigeria are very minimal. So the problem in the country is this, and I'm going to fix it as follows. One, you have to ensure that you do not bring political activists, supporters into the security architecture. Right now, that's where most money goes, and that's why they bring all kinds of incompetent. People who got fired for incompetence in their career get brought back to come and manage this money. And instead of facing the issue of insecurity and collaborating with one another, what they do is that they fight one another for budget. So even this one of trying to manage against arson and all of that to ensure that elections hold, they will not cooperate. They will be fighting about who's going to control the money. That's what the problem is. Last week or so, I was with the president in Owerri, where the police were doing their planning for the election. I listened attentively, and I discovered that the president came there, didn't give them any direction, cut the tape and gave a few speeches, disappeared. And at the end of the day, you see that there is nothing that's been done. What I'm going to do, therefore, is to ensure that you form a proper government, you run the services. These are small problems, and we can deal with them, I can assure you.
Thank you, Prince Adebayo. We are now going to turn to our panelists. Our panelists this evening will be proposing questions to our presidential candidates. Candidates, please note that for this round you have 2 minutes to answer the questions given to you by the panelists. And we will start off with Mr. Waziri Adio, a journalist, policy expert, and founder of Agora Policy. Mr. Waziri, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. This question is for all the candidates. I heard a policy think tank called Agora Policy, and it released a report on understanding and tackling insecurity in Nigeria. And that report identified the drivers of insecurity in Nigeria. And some of the things that it identified as the drivers include inappropriate security architecture, easy access to arms and drugs, porous borders, and grievances and so many other things. So as Commander-in-Chief, what will you do to address specific things that you're going to do to address the drivers of insecurity in Nigeria? Thank you.